Oh, shit.
Did
All
you
right.
just end the broadcast?
No, I just started it, but I realized I haven't pulled up Audacity.
Oh shit, me too. Hold on. I
let's
have mine set up so I can at least do
let's get this up. That's
mine.
what she said.
There. I'm in.
This is the unofficial opening of the show. We are live.
Oh, great. All
But
right.
the UPP can edit this out.
Well, he has to. That's his
He's
job.
got to do something.
God.
All right, I'm recording in Audacity now.
I think
Here
I
we
am
go.
too now.
Here we go. Hey, here we go. And we are live
Yeah,
on
right.
YouTube,
We did it.
and we are not live if you are listening to us after the fact. We're a little early this week. Good old Dave decided
Here
he
we
needed
go.
to take a trip. He had a stress test, and now he needs a vacation from his stress test. So he's leaving to go only God knows where. He just got back from Mexico, and now his pre-responder paycheck is such that he can afford another gallivant.
I like to call this
around the
this
world.
trip. I like to call the Trail of Tears. That's probably the first time that's
Yeah,
ever been
right.
coined. I visit a lot of strip clubs and sex shops all throughout the country. I just call it the Trail of Tears. So I'm really excited about it. Should be a bang up show.
That's a good thing. So, both of us have had some health stuff going on. I had a prostate exam today.
Did you?
And so there I was in the office, nervous, of course. And
is this your first prostate exam?
By a medical professional? Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I was nervous, and the doctor came in, and I was like sitting there, and I was like, well, where do you want me to put my pants? And he said, right over there next to mine. And I was a little disturbed by the answer.
Thrown off a little bit, but that's
so either that's a true story about my health situation going on right now, or it's not. And I'd like to keep that a mystery for the audience.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's my health update. What's yours? I know that everybody's been dying to know what's going on.
Right.
Pun intended.
Yes. So I had my stress test today, and I don't know if you've ever done a stress test. I had to do a stress test before I became a copper, because they didn't like my heart rate for whatever reason. So I had to do a stress test. And it was completely fine. I think it was it was a lower heart rate, so they're like all up in arms about it. But it was nothing. And that was like what 20 some years ago, anyway. So I go in there, and the guy was super nice, and I took my pants off too. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's just not.
This is a stress test.
Tell
me about it.
It's not Mike's office." So I stopped masturbating, obviously, and he's like, he tells me,
you realize you were behind glass being observed by scientists. Like, wait, what did I just wake up from?
So I'm, it's like this, it's a small room. And I was like, well, can I change? And I changed real quick. And because I didn't know, like, it's been so long, I don't even remember, like, what do they do for these stress tests? I knew it was on a treadmill, but I didn't realize. So I look at this treadmill. It's like, looks like it's from the 70s, and
it probably is.
It may be, but it's not like your typical.
It's like it's got the tread part is the old hand dryers at like Tiger Stadium,
like
in
cloth.
the trough. It's you just keep pulling the same cloth through, and it just kind of dries off a little bit on the inside. That's what you're running on this, like the treadmill material.
This is really weird. So I get on this thing, and he says, okay, so it's in sets of 3 minutes. So the first 3 minutes obviously going to be pretty slow. He's like, it's going to be an incline. I'm like, okay, an incline, whatever. This is not like a normal gym incline thing. This is like a stair stepper, man. Like this thing
it gets intense,
has some.
Man.
It was ridiculous. So I'm like, okay. So the first 3 minutes, he's, you try to get my heart rate. I mean, I can see all my numbers and stuff like that. And like, okay, so I'm at the first 3 minutes, not a big deal. He says, okay, we're going to increase the speed and the incline. I'm like, okay, no big deal. He's incline, the incline goes up again. I'm like, oh, well, that was something. Like it actually was like enough where I was like, oh, okay. And it speeds up. I'm like, okay, no big deal. I can do this. And of course I'm trying to like battle myself to see how long I can hang out on this thing. And so 6 minutes goes by. He's like, okay, it's going to go up a little bit more. We're going to go to about 3.5 miles an hour. I'm like, okay, let's see what this thing's got. And so he goes up again. And now I'm moving pretty good. And this is the kind of incline that if you have to have something to hold on to, that's what I was going to look like.
That wasn't even, this was before they started inclining, when you had to kind of figure it out there. That's what you look like.
That's about what I was going to look like. And so this thing really starts taking off. And I'm like, okay. And seriously, you have to hold on to the handle thing, because you are going to not make it, man. It's on too much of an incline. And so I get through 9 minutes and he's like, okay, we're going to keep pumping it up. I'm like, okay.
9 minutes.
Yeah. And so he's like, we're pumping it up.
This is like that's my nightmare. That's too long to run.
So he turns it up more. Now the incline is done.
They would need to put another treadmill behind me with like a zombie, somebody dressed as a zombie, to keep me motivated to run that long. I'd be like, you know what, doc, just mark down that I'm dying. I don't want to keep running.
Over, man.
I just don't enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie.
But now I wasn't enjoying it either, but now it's like a thing. I'm like, all right, see, I'm trying to like actually bring my breathing down. Like, what am I doing? So after 9 minutes, they speed it up again. And now this thing's really cooking. Like there's times I'm running on this thing, and this thing's incline. I feel like this is like a 45-degree incline. It's not, obviously, but
yep.
I get
you made it 9 minutes.
Oh yeah.
You like 4x the doctor's expectations.
Dude, I made it to 12 minutes. And he's like, you want to go more? I go, no. He's like, what's going to give out, your heart or your legs? I'm like, my legs at this point, they feel like jello. But so I stopped at 12 minutes. So I'm like thinking,
how fast was the pace of the treadmill? Is it like it normally, like when you go to the gym where it's like a miles per hour, like, or I don't know, there's numbers.
Yeah, that was that's what they turned it up to. So like,
to what?
I forgot, like by 6 to 9 minutes, I was at like 3.3 miles an hour. Then I think they turned it to 4.
Too bad. It's the incline that'll get you there. Then
I was going to say it's the incline that kills
3 point anything at a decent incline is gonna rock your world.
I can walk 3.5 on the treadmill, because I got long legs and I'm sure it's not impossible. But you turn it up to 4.1, and at that incline, dude, I was huffing pretty good. And so he's like, you want to push it? I'm like, no, I don't think I want to do that anymore. That was,
Sarah Kelp saying, Sarah said someone would need to put Mike in front of me if I was on it. Does that mean like I would be like the carrot on the stick?
Hell yeah.
Like that would motivate you to run faster toward me? If so, that's a nice compliment. If you're calling yourself a zombie and I'm in front of you, then don't be so hard on yourself. I don't know what the phrase means, but
so either way, this it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't horrible. It's the incline that'll kill you, man. But he's like, I lasted longer than, he says, people normally only last 6 to 9 minutes. I'm like, okay, so I lasted 12 minutes. So that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with my heart or my lung. I don't, so that was the test. It took a little bit for my heart rate to get back down again. He gave me a little bit of water. It was delicious. And pretty much sent me on my way. Though. So, but that's my latest. They're gonna do a CT scan of my lungs next. I'm sure, because I'm sure nothing happened with this stress test. I'm sure
that was just a way to make money. Like,
that was just their first
we gotta tick the boxes.
Making money. Yeah, I made them work for it today. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
I like that. Well, like I gave him something.
If you guys are still here, obviously we still have the tradition on this show that you need to skip to some other part of the show for the real content.
Right.
I don't even remember what I titled this thing. Something about the Biden's border is about to be bonkers. I think that's what I titled this. And I do want to talk. We are going to talk about news, local and worldwide. We're
totally.
going everywhere today with the news, apparently. But I'm definitely we're going to kick off in a second here with border stuff because some things caught my attention. Let's just say that. I'm going to try not to go off the rails, but I'm not happy. I'll tell you that. But if you are listening to the show, we are Mike and Dave. If you've never listened, we are the former cop show talking about mostly non-cop stuff for cops who don't like to talk about cop stuff.
Yeah, kind of like that.
It's a pretty easy way to explain what the show is at this point.
Yeah. It's really hard to comprehend.
So tell your friends.
They're like, so what's it about?
What's it about?
It's about, I don't know, there's cops. Okay, they're not cops. I mean, they were cops, but they're not really cops anymore. I mean, they're not going to talk about cop stuff. But I mean, sometimes they talk about cop stuff, but it's not always, sometimes, no, they don't really normally talk about cop stuff at all.
So I mean, Mike got a prostate exam and Dave set a new treadmill record. Yeah. So that's
I identified as a woman when I did that, and I think
I'm proud of you, Dave. That was stunning and brave.
Yeah, I think I actually set one of their records as for the females. So
yes,
yeah,
female stress.
I knew I couldn't touch the male one, so I figured, but I'm no loser. All right, God.
Oh man, there is actually. Oh, I saw a blurb that I can't remember where now. Something along the lines, there was an actual study about the increase in prostate cancer among women because of the trans women.
You've got to be fucking.
I hate you. I hate you all.
Oh my God.
I wish ill upon you, and stop it.
That's a total bummer.
I don't know. I can't remember where I saw it, so I can't quote it. And I saw it somewhere. Could be completely made up. I'll dig around at some point when Dave's on a rant or something. I'll type into the world.
Not today. No ramps for me. I already had my stress test.
Oh yeah. Well, good for you.
Tell me. Let's talk. I want to know about this.
Wait a second. Where
did this come from? Where did this border problem come from? This is the first I've heard of
it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all of my tabs disappeared. Oh, here they are. I split this up into different things. Let me see if we can actually hear. Let's see.
And let it be known, the reason we're struggling here is because there's no UPP. And why is he?
For the record, the UPP is not here
to hang out with his wife.
It's his
for some
anniversary.
Yeah.
Anniversary.
It's probably his. You know what? It's probably a made up one that his wife made up. Like,
by the way,
quarter year anniversary.
Well, it is their made up one because when they got married, it was during COVID or whatever, and they did a ceremony. But then they never went and turned in any marriage certificate or anything. They didn't get married for like a year and a half or something like that after their wedding.
Are you serious? I went to that fucking thing for no reason.
Absolutely. You were a witness to nothing.
That was the worst.
It was a sham
of my life. Yeah.
It was a sham.
Now, looking back now, that was literally the worst day of my life.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Bamboozled. Got some folks in the chat tonight. I want to thank you all for showing up here. We've got, let's see, Sarah.
So many good ones.
Imperial Girl, Bushcrafter, Will Cray, David J, Shannon O'Brien. Who else?
Shannon O'Brien.
Ryan H. And we've had some super chats. So thank you, Ryan Abernathy.
Yes.
And Hiram Bithadum, another longtime viewer, listener. Thank you guys. So again, we normally are live on Wednesday nights, but Dave is going out of town.
Sorry.
So we're doing Tuesday night, and then the audio will come out when tomorrow or Thursday, whenever the underpaid producer actually gets it done. All right, now let's see if I can make this work.
Joyce is great. Her sciatica hurts.
Screw Joyce and her hatred for our Spinetti skits. I have a grudge. I'm holding a grudge.
I don't blame you, but you do have to be
When it
careful.
comes
She
to
isn't the
illegal
first.
Can you hear that?
migration, you've seen it come
Yes.
down by more than 90%, and that's because of the actions that this president has. When it comes to illegal migration, you've seen it come down by more than 90%, and that's because of the actions that this president has.
So that's the first thing that caught my attention, right? Like,
It's amazing.
someone at the White House standing in front of all of us and expecting that we would believe that illegal immigration
Well,
has
did you see the update for
decreased
that?
by 90%. I did. Watch this.
Said yesterday that when it comes to illegal migration, you've seen it come down by more than 90%. Where did that number come from?
It was-
Because
I was
CBP
speaking-
is telling us the number is
I hear you. I'm about to answer.
136,000 people more
I'm about to
this
answer you.
fiscal year so
If
far.
the dramatics could come down just a little bit.
I-
If the dramatics could come down a little
What's
bit.
dramatic about asking a question about?
Okay, I'm going to answer. So I was speaking to the parolee program. As you know, the president put in place a parolee program to deal with certain countries on ways that we can limit illegal migration. And we have seen, the data has shown us that it has gone down by more than 90%. That was what I was speaking
And
to.
just
Is she trying to say that they've been working with other countries to bring the recidivism of illegal immigrants who commit crimes in our country is down? Essentially what they're saying then, because either that or they're not like put back into our society. Like, what is she actually trying to say?
A parolee program. I don't know. President's illegal immigrant parolee
And
program.
why is it that you originally said that's not what you said before?
No, that's
You
not what she said before.
Yeah. So why were you trying to first of all, I don't know how you could possibly stand up in front of the world. It's the world at that point. There's no escaping the press at the White House to say down 90% that anyone is ever in their wildest dreams going to possibly buy that immigration, no matter what president, is down 90%. But she said it. And then when he called her out on it, she changed her tune and then brought up some obscure reference to some obscure program that doesn't even truly exist.
Yeah,
That's what she meant to say. No, I meant the ones that normally use orange Crayola crayons in October between the 1st and the 3rd.
That's what I was referring to.
That normally that have been picked up in traffic stops in the state of California. It's lower half. It's
New York
that's
Post.
how ridiculous that was.
New York Post says that Jean-Pierre ripped after claiming Biden parolee program decreased illegal immigration by 90%. White House press secretary, and this is by Jesse O'Neill, White House press secretary Karina how does she pronounce her name? Karina? Corinne? Yeah, whatever. Was slammed by critics after boasting Monday about the Biden administration's humanitarian parolee program for asylum seekers from Cuba, Nicaragua, Haiti, and Venezuela. None of them notice none of that is Mexico. None of it. As the U.S. preps for a fresh surge of migrants at the southern border, which brings us here. And we're not going to take a deep dive on the facts about the border. I actually want to have a conversation about what the fix is, why it's not fixed, and what we would offer as a fix. But you've seen the parolee program be so successful, she said during our press briefing. It has.
Oh my
as long
God.
as she
You
repeats
can't
it
just
enough.
say it like 3 times.
When it comes to illegal immigration, you've seen it come down by more than 90%, and that's because of this act, the actions that this president has taken. The program, instituted in October for Venezuelans and extended to residents of other 3 countries, has allowed 30,000 asylum seekers who followed the legal application process to be admitted into the U.S. each month. So basically, by letting people stay, by just reclassifying them, they're saying that illegal immigration is going down by just reclassifying them.
In our country.
Now they're here legally. So our illegal immigration has gone down. It's like
that's not even a thing.
Oh, it's a thing at this White House. It's a thing.
But they can't. It's not like you can just make somebody a legal citizen. Like, so okay, so what is the fix? What would you suggest? What are some of the, and this is a true conversation. How
Yeah.
would you try to bring some of this under control? The sigh, I love it.
People do not like my answers.
I want your answer.
All right. I legitimately believe that we need to, it would be cheaper than a wall. We put guard towers. I'm assuming it would be cheaper, right? Because you could, that's my assumption. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody that knows more about construction could shed some light on that. But I would set up towers, and I would authorize deadly force for anybody that crosses the border at a non-allocated checkpoint. I do believe that we still have to make a way for those seeking asylum to come knocking on the door. Okay? So whether that's political refugees or whatever, yeah, great. Come knock on the door, right? We have to have a door, though. We can't have an open border. So we need to set that up. And then, quite honestly, we just need, step one is to actually secure the border, right? Building a wall doesn't do that fast enough. We can, though, even if we don't have a raised guard shack, we can deploy a border patrol or National Guard. We can deploy people across the border that they would be authorized to use deadly force against anyone crossing the border. That's it. Like, we have to protect our border. And I think that that's a sovereign nation issue. And I think that we would not be alone in this world, that if I just decide to randomly cross the border into, I don't know, Uzbekistan, do you think I get to live? You know, like, it's like, I don't know, maybe. But then funnel people that are seeking asylum to the door. They can apply for asylum. They can evaluate that. But we have to secure the border, right? I view the issue as a sinking ship. There's more to it. Just putting up people on the border and just mowing down people crossing the border is only one. That is plugging the hole in the hull. I'm out at sea. I've got to plug the hole in the boat. It's a temporary fix because it's not necessarily the long-term solution, but we have to stop the problem. We're talking about millions and millions of illegal human beings bum rushing our country. And it is not good, even if they are sincere people, even if they don't have nefarious intent, of which many do, because we have many wolves sneaking in with the sheep, right? So that's a problem. And I'm not saying that most of the millions are evil intent human beings, but that doesn't change the fact that we don't have an infrastructure and an appropriate system in place to handle the influx of millions and millions of people who are undocumented and not contributing in the appropriate channels to this society.
I think that's an interesting point. Now, this is very, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion from myself to all people out there. But I can also tell you, like, I'm gonna start out with this: is that this is liberalism at its finest. It's you have a problem, you exasperate a problem, and then because you don't have a plan to fix it, right? Like, it's like, yeah, but if we do this, then our agenda is solid. And I'm going to use two examples. One, illegal immigration. The more illegal immigrants that you bring in, the more apt you are to get votes that will keep you in office. Number two,
I know it's crazy because they shouldn't be able to vote.
Right. But they do. They can.
They're not citizens.
So many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
But And that and they can at like local levels and everything else. It's
I
in
know,
certain
I know.
states they absolutely can. I don't believe that they can in federal elections, but that's not where business is handled, right? Like it
Yeah.
is, but that's not where business. Local is where it's at.
Yeah,
Second would be
there are non-citizens gaining certain rights to vote in certain capacities, and
absolutely.
that is a way to tear at the fabric of the whole
Yeah.
thing. Which, I won't. I want you to get back to what you're saying. It's just it's Marxism. That's exactly what you have to do. You have to tear the whole system down. But anyway,
Yeah. And the second to me would be going to all electric vehicles by 2035, 23. They actually, I think they pushed it back because it was, I think, 2035. It's not 2038. The problem is that, again, there's no infrastructure for it. And you guys know I have a hybrid. But I don't think I would like to buy an all-electric car. I mean, some people get along and they love it and they have Teslas and they have great charging stations, all that stuff. But the reality is that there's no infrastructure for it. I was listening to a guy who was talking about getting like heavy trucks, like trucks that like normally are powered by diesel power. And the amount of energy for these 30 trucks that they wanted to put in was so much that in order to keep these things going took so much energy. It took twice the amount of energy for these 30 trucks, big trucks. I don't know if they're tractor trailers or whatever, or construction truck, whatever. Each battery weighed 8,000 pounds. They need 2 batteries to make these things operate. It takes so much power that it takes twice as much power as it does to even run the factory in the first place. They brought it up to the city, and the city and the electric company laughed at them and said, "Are you joking me? This is as much power as it takes to practically run the entire city. For these 30 trucks, there's no infrastructure. All the stuff people want to talk about, we've talked about this with mine. I can't just go anywhere and charge my car. There's no infrastructure even for this very basic thing. I can't even go to my place of employment, which is an auto manufacturer, and charge my vehicle. It makes like the one place that you would think like, yeah, we have some charging stations because this is a thing, and no, you can't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way.
The
Not just
stupid
that,
part.
but it takes 2 hours, almost 2 hours, about an hour and 40 minutes for me to charge my hybrid, which will get me about 20 miles. The power, how much power it sucks is completely irrelevant. The idea is I can't just stop in at Big Boy. I don't know what it has to be a Big Boy, but I can't just stop at Big Boy. And even if there was a charging station, and charge my car up and expect that it's even going to be charged by that time anyway, because the technology isn't even there. But they want it all.
I'm not dogging on electric cars or Tesla, because I think like I'm all for advancements in technology, man. Like
Right.
making
Absolutely.
cars more efficient and all that stuff. That's fine, whatever. But the problem is when they tell you that this is for a cause of environmentalism, they're lying. They're lying, and they know they're lying.
Absolutely lying. It's an agenda.
The humanitarian crises that is going on in order to mine the stuff for the batteries is one problem, and problem two is you're plugging in your car to the grid that uses coal to charge your car. You dumbass.
It's true. It absolutely is true.
It's like the whole idea that buying electric or going electric is saving the planet is patently false on its face. So, but okay, I'm going to play something. I'm going to try to share the screen, because going back to like the root cause of this, like why illegal immigration, political agenda has been a problem. Like this for so long,
both sides,
right? Every election, it's an issue. And I heard something that was so spot on to me. And let me share my screen here again. I wish there was a way to like keep it shared, but it's not, and I don't know why.
Well, while you're doing, I'm just going to say this. that I don't know when the whole blood diamond thing started coming up, like it was a big deal. Remember, like all of a sudden it was like everyone's aware of blood diamonds. I don't know if that was like the greatest secret of the 80s and 90s, but I can tell you this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I bet you anything that the amount of I bet you anything the same thing is happening in Africa that was happening with this whole blood diamond expedition with cobalt, because it's facing history all over again, the exact same thing. You can mine this stuff. We need it. The world needs it. We can do it cheap. We can do it even cheaper than cheap, and we can make big profits. And how are we going to do that? At the people's expense. And I guarantee they're keeping that a fucking secret from all of us.
Yep. All right. Listen to this. This is Donald Miller. He's actually a liberal, a pretty liberal guy. And he wrote a book ages ago that I read and enjoyed called Blue Like Jazz. And that was like his first big hit. And he wrote another book that I read called Through Painted Deserts, and came out of like the Christian culture, but I don't even know if he describes himself as that anymore. But anyway, I saw this on his account, and I haven't even seen part 2, but part 1 was like, oh wow, this makes a lot of sense. So what caused this? Because we are not going to solve the immigration problem until we solve the cause of the problem. So like even me saying put some people in a guard shack and start smoking these fools when they're trying to cross, that's not a solution. I mean, that's a stopgap maybe, but it's not a real solution. But here we go. I think.
Because we can't get what we want from our political leaders. If 70% of Americans want immigration reform and there's a bill that 70% of Americans like, Congress isn't going to vote for it. And there's a couple of reasons why. One is the primary system. 6% of Americans would consider themselves right-wing extremists. 8% of Americans would consider themselves left-wing extremists. So we're at 14%. How does 14% decide for the rest of the country what happens? The primaries. They vote in the primaries. Almost all politicians, left and right, have to get through the primaries in order to get on the ballot. And so they have to move farther and farther to the right or farther and farther left to get onto the ballot. Therefore, the overwhelming majority of Americans don't even have a candidate that they can vote for who doesn't already agree with things they don't disagree with. The reason is most of us don't vote in primaries. I do, but most people don't vote in primaries because you don't know when they are, where to vote. You don't know who's on the ballot because you have kids and you have a job. The 6% of extremists on the right are mostly retired folks. Kids have left the house. They're sitting around watching Fox News, getting their news from Newsmax. The 8% on the left are college students, unmarried, single, and somewhat idealistic. And I don't mean that as a bad thing, but they're somewhat idealistic about how the world should work, and they're not interested in compromise. Those are the two fractions that are basically deciding who governs this country. Now, there's a second reason that we're not getting what we want, and that is America is really frustrated because we can't.
All right, we got to get the second reason here. Hold on.
There's a second reason that we're not getting what we want, and that is Congress is not incentivized to give us what we want. I was recently with the Democratic operatives, spent 6 years in the Senate, and there was a bill that the Democrats had drawn up. Their constituents wanted that bill to be passed, major piece of legislation. They had the votes to do it, and in a backroom conversation with Democratic leaders, decided not to pass the bill so that they could run on that issue in the upcoming election.
Bingo.
I'm not making that up. We're not going to get this done so that we can go out and tell people we're going to get this done. If they did pass legislation on gun reform, if they did pass legislation on abortion, if they did pass legislation that would help the environment, if they did pass all this legislation, Congress would have nothing to run on.
So yeah, you can see it. You can see his liberalism even bleeding through. But the point being is, I think he's absolutely right, which is that there's no incentive for Congress to fix problems because then they have nothing to run on. Then they have nothing to keep themselves employed with. So I think he's dead on, because we don't take the local elections seriously enough. We don't take the process seriously enough about how we build the political system from a local level. Like, who are we putting in positions of representation at a local level who will go on. Mayors become governors, governors become presidents,
Right.
that kind of a thing. We don't pay enough attention at a local level, and we don't demand what we expected of our representation. That's what it's supposed to be. Representation, not free. And then we have another loophole in our system in which we have granted way too much power, and by any amount, I mean that's too much, to like Speaker of the House, for example, who can make sweeping decisions. They're not my representative.
Oh yeah, they're from committees and other things as well.
Exactly. The system itself has been has mutated and has been crafted in a way by people in power to retain said power instead of actually do their job and pass legislation that represents their constituency. And yeah, I think like they, for whatever reason, they want to hold on to this issue because they get to hold on because of it.
Yeah.
Because it's a solvable issue with legislation. It's a solvable issue.
That's kind of where I was with that, Mike. I was headed in that direction because with this whole immigration thing, the illegal immigration thing, is I realized a while back with this whole Dreamer program. So if anybody doesn't know what a Dreamer is, or DACA, it's where somebody was an individual was brought into this country as a child, and which there's like a date to that, and so most of those kids that were brought in are 20s and 30s now. So it actually has like a start and a finite ending of how that works. And so I realized very quickly when people were up in arms about DACA. And I don't think that and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think that there's a lot of people against individuals who were brought in this country when they were two, gaining some kind of citizenship and not being shipped back to, we'll say, Nicaragua, where they don't even speak the language and never spent their time there. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
Now we're talking about someone that's here, that's been here, and they didn't ask to be here, and now, but they are essentially here, right? Like they've grown up here,
and in limbo.
They
are in limbo.
Yeah, what's the solution? Send them back to like you said, they don't know they may not know the language. Like we're just going to ship back a 14-year-old kid to Nicaragua and say like good luck.
But
I agree. I agree with you.
At what point are we? This is how I knew that politics wasn't very serious about illegal immigration or immigration in general, is because when they brought up this whole DACA thing, it was a huge thing. Remember with Trump and all that. When I realized, I was like, they're never going to get any of this done. Like they don't actually care. Like this would be the slam dunk. This would have been the slam dunk for Republicans to somehow create a path to citizenship for DACA or Dreamers, if you want to call them that too. This would have been a slam dunk for Republicans, but they just could not bring themselves to even think about something like that. And this was a slam dunk. No way in the world. And not just that, but now, and I don't know if people realize this, but DACA, there is no path to citizenship at all. As a matter of fact, you can't be like, so say a child comes into this country now with asylum or something, they can become citizens and they can become American citizens. DACA cannot become American citizens because they entered this country illegally. There is no path for them. Stuck in this weird limbo, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants to do anything about it. It's like I said, slam dunk. I understand the border problems that we have. I have my own ideas of that are probably more like getting more to the base of it and realizing. I think you're right. I don't think walls are going to do it. I have no problem with people seeking asylum. True. There's no good vetting system. There's no harsh punishments for coyotes. I mean, there's nothing that makes it hard to bring somebody into this country illegally?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I think you got two things, right? You've got to deal with the current, you have to take some type of emergent action against what is actually happening on the ground in the moment. We keep, every president, every administration keeps coming back to this whole idea of amnesty. And it's in their minds, I think maybe they're like, oh, we'll just kind of like start fresh, you know? All right. It's gone on long enough. If you're here, you're here, but no more, you know, like this whole idea of this fresh start concept that won't work, because what allowed it to happen in the first place is still going unaddressed. So
yes,
all this constant appeal to our emotions of treating other humans with dignity and respect. And I get it, right? Like, again, I said at the beginning of this discussion, I don't think that most people coming across have evil intent, but that doesn't mean that it's good for either of us to have this awkward, undefined relationship with between nations. Like, it's not a good thing for a host of reasons, many of which are economic, but a lot of them are social as well. Like, there's problems that come as a result of this. So there is one piece that we need, and I think that ahead of Title 42 being repealed, or is it being repealed, or is it just expiring?
I think it's expiring.
I think you're right. I think it's like it was in place for so long, and it's ending. And I believe that there are National Guard troops, 1,500 of them or something, being deployed to the border.
Yeah,
in anticipation of a massive influx once that's not in play, because so many people were getting sent back under Title 42. But
another dog and pony show. 1,500 troops compared to what?
It's compared to 4,000 miles of border. Yeah, like it's not going to do anything.
They're trying to appeal to the independent voter because they know that right-wing people are going to be like, 1,500 troops? You fucking kidding me? You know, it's got to be a Southern accent, like a deep Southern accent. And then, but then liberals are like, see, they're working on it. Like it's all bullshit, man. It's smoke and mirrors. It's this dog and pony show that it isn't even a good one. This is absolutely ridiculous. And it shows this minimal amount of effort that you could possibly take as an administration in your fight against illegal immigration that you know is a problem for this country. But you don't give a shit because this problem is what gets you reelected on both sides.
Yes, that's exactly why I played that clip, because I think he's dead on. That's exactly what gets you elected on both sides. You appeal to the extremist view of immigration and ride out for more votes, while the real problem gets lost somewhere in between. The real solution is lost somewhere in between, because neither of those things work. And I am all for proper immigration. It is actually a lack of human concern to have this concept, practically or legally, of an open border is actually less humane than it is to have a clear, orderly process that allows people seeking to come to this country and become citizens, or even get work visas or education visas or whatever it is that they're coming here for, whatever opportunities they're seeking. It is actually less humane to allow it to happen the way that we are right now. I know that the appeal is like, who could turn away people hurting or impoverished and all that stuff. Like, I get that there is an emotional appeal to that, right? On one piece, I would say to you, well, why are you living here then? Why aren't you taking your vast amount of wealth and going to, I don't know, the middle of the Sahara and helping people? Like, if you're really being humane, stop.
It's your passion, right?
Yeah. Stop pretending. Okay. Let's stop the game. Let's stop the pretentiousness or the feigned, moral superiority, the white knighting. Stop that.
Change your fucking Facebook profile.
Yes. Let's change our Facebook profile photo to something to make us feel better about ourselves.
To AOC when she was at the border,
crying through the chain link
in front
fence.
of nobody.
Yeah. So but it's actually worse for everyone to allow what's happening to continue to happen. And what is the solution? Man, I think the illegal immigration isn't, none of these issues are individualistic. And that's another thing that happens when it comes to voting season is every issue is treated as though it's in its own silo and not all interconnected, right? They want each, where do you stand on the issues? And the way that we're voting is we're like, all right, I've got 10 issues that are important to me. Whoever is 6 out of my 10, that's who gets my vote. And we're missing the underlying ideology that even defines what an issue is. And we have to have a dominating worldview that we actually are clear about so that we can vote from taking extreme ownership in our own lives and then beginning to actually participate in this amazing God-given opportunity that we have in this country to still vote, to still be active, to still proclaim what we believe to be true, and to fight for that. And we need to take that seriously. And we are reaping the rewards of not taking that seriously.
I think that
right
you say it really well when we talk about voting local politics, how important it is. So what we've done was we have dumbed ourselves down so much that we have decided that our future rests on a federal government that was essentially based on minimalistic ideology.
Mm-hmm.
And
what is the minimum effective dose of governance that is necessary to make this thrive? That's like really the question they were asking, even if they didn't phrase it that way. Like that's how we were framed in, is like, listen, we came from tyranny. How can we still keep things in? We don't want chaos. We don't want a free for all.
Yeah. And even more than that, Mike, is that because we vote federally for Senate, representatives, U.S. president, we have taken out all thought process on how we choose politicians to assist us in moving forward with communities in our lives. Because if you voted more locally, those big issues wouldn't even be a factor. Right? We would be thinking okay, you want to do a millage for this, and you want to do this, and you need money for whatever reason here. It's not about illegal immigration. It's not about abortion. It's about local things. It's about actually being involved in your community, which they don't care about. So what we've done was we've taken that all out of the equation. We don't even want to think about the things that could actually affect our lives on a daily basis. We would rather push it and actually just vote. I mean, clearly it's great advertising, on the national level, because for me, voting in my local politicians is hugely important, my judges and things of that nature. And I get mad when I sometimes I'll get up and last time there was a couple of judges. I'm like, shit, forgot to fucking look at these fucking judges. And I'm all pissed at myself, and I wish more people got angry like that. But that's why voting locally is so important. I mean, voting for, we think that abortion is hugely important, but I'm like, we have decided that our vote only matters when it comes to us versus them on these huge, weird ticket items that have very little effect on our lives. Very little, but keep them going and bloated and everything else. And I get to pay more taxes because of these bloated events.
Yeah, buddy. So it's all interconnected, and extreme ownership, become ungovernable, become independent enough, skilled enough. And it's going to be an interesting couple of years here. I think you're right. We dig in, it's going to be interesting. I'm not a doomsday person. I do think we're in for some really difficult times in the next couple of years as a country. And I think that that's either will either keep slipping into a reshaping of this country into what a vision that was nothing like the founding fathers envisioned, or we're in for a lot of work to even recover some of that. But in the meantime, I really feel like we have a uniparty system going on right now. You look at guys like guys like Dan Crenshaw, who gave me hope when he was running, have turned out to be nothing but shills who are doing insider stock trading, at the political level. All these people are coming in and they're coming out. You should not be able to come out richer, more rich than when you went into office. And this is why when our Congress originally was filled with what were called statesmen, okay? Mm-hmm. And that means you were a doctor, you were an educator, you were a blacksmith, you were a this. And and people in your local community, your area would want you to go represent them. And basically, you had to put your life and business on hold. Going to Congress was an act of like public service, right? I'm going because the people in my area believe that I can represent them, right? Via taxation. They're getting representation via taxation for us to put our say in there. And I didn't want more than one term because I have a business to run. I've got a medical practice to get back to. I've got a farm. Like my kids are running my farm while I'm gone. I need to get back to my life. So they're there to do their sort of like civic duty. And then the next person would go and they shared that burden. But now we stick these people in Congress and we set it and forget it and keep paying these insane salaries that are way above what the average American makes to represent them. And we just let them get away with everything because we're just not involved. We're letting it happen. And it's
we're not just letting it happen, Mike. We let them vote for their own raises. How does that happen?
It's crazy, but that's
how does any of that even sound real? Like that actually sounds like a cartoon. That you know what I mean? Like,
step one: kill people coming in illegally at the border. I create a policy that allows deadly force at the border. I'll tell you right now, people don't think. I think deterrents are powerful things. You start hanging child molesters in the street. Guess how many child molesters are going to think twice before they diddle a kid? Because fuck them. We'll hang them publicly in the town square. Like I'll be there. I'll cheer it on. Guess how many people would be more reticent to engage in that kind of behavior? Strong responses do curb behavior. That's why that's one of the purposes of the law is to curb behavior. And it works. It's human nature. That's how it works. That's not all the law is designed to do, but it is one thing that it is designed to do. And we have to have a solution at the border, but we won't have that solution because the root, they don't want to fix the problem, right? No. Like, so when you have cancer, you can be aggressive. You can even cut body parts off, right? You can be really aggressive. Now, does that solve the cancer by cutting a body part off? No, but it may curb it temporarily. Right. While you deal with the root cause, that you try to address the root issue, but it may save your life to have a curbed measure. And I think that we are at the point at the border that we need extreme measures to curb the problem while we deal with the solution.
That's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting take. It's tough because like I'm with you. I mean, I think there's clearly a problem with immigration. But like in droves, like you have like women and children and things coming over. It makes it difficult because how do you solve something like that, right?
You shoot the men.
So you think like just mostly like shoot men? Okay. I'm all for ideas right now. We're all spitballing here. Are we not spitballing?
Tell me,
am I not in a safe place here?
tell me. I mean, I'm pretty sure if anybody's being honest, you shoot the first few. Guess how much word's getting back in the old Mexico that this is a problem. It's going to happen fast.
Flip phone, baby.
It's going to happen real fast. Yeah, the burner phones that they're getting from Mexican Walmart, oh, they're going to be ringing
big time,
and they're going to be like, "Oh, hey, guess you won't believe what just happened to Hector." Okay,
Yeah.
We got to move south. That's
why does it have to be a Hector?
Hector Salamanca. I don't know.
Salamanca.
Ferdinand, stop being so anti-Semitic, Mike. Wait, what?
wait, what? Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, this is a tough one, guys. There's no. I mean, there is answers, but there's no answers that we're going to come up with anytime.
Metallica had the answer.
Kill them all. We're not the ones in charge. You know?
No, we're not.
And
we're
just
we keep
voting these same fuckers in.
We're two non-cops talking to cops about non-cop stuff. That's all we are.
After we're not cops. Well, you know, the problem too is like I said, there's these wolves in sheep clothing that come in politics, say, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then boom, they're right back to, you know, everyday politics as everybody else.
Yeah, the whole system is nonsense because even when they do debates, you see it, I see it, everybody sees it. The moderators, they ask a question, they get absolutely zero answers across the entire stage. Not a single person answers the question, and then they move on to the next question. It's like, no, man, let me moderate that shit. I would love to moderate a presidential debate on any level because I would make them answer the question.
Like, they would only get through one question. That's the problem. It could be a 2-hour session and only get to one question. They would, because no matter how many times, because I have seen some moderators try to get answers and they just keep circling back, if you will. And it is the most frustrating thing. How many times, guys and girls, how many times have we seen moderators actually do a good job, try to stay on point, ask some of the tough questions? I've seen that even in our state debates for governor, but yet in the end, these guys still refuse. And the other person who's involved, meaning the opposing party, won't even call them out on it. Because they're like, oh, good Lord, I'm next. Oh, God, I gotta fucking keep this. Let him talk. Let him talk. You know, it's ridiculous. God, it was such a fucking failure, man.
Man, there's a book that I heard about today that I wish I could reference, and I can't find it. I just searched, and I'll have to dig further. But it was about
Penthouse. It's been around for a long time.
Letters to the editor. Yeah, I did send mine in yesterday. I told my prostate exam story. We'll see if they publish it.
That's so good.
No, something about like what catalyzed the organization of the French Revolution and how like it was related to, you know, our time now. It's interesting.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I heard about it and I thought, man, that sounds like it was a biography about the guy who organized the French Revolution. So I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff.
Read that.
French were huge.
And for my Christian friends out there, there is a book that I read that is probably the best book I have read where politics and faith meet, probably ever. And it's called Letter to the the American Church. It is by a guy named Eric Metaxas. I'm going to type it in the chat there. Eric Metaxas. He is a Dietrich Bonhoeffer scholar. Like he's not even a theologian. He's not a pastor. He's a Christian dude that studied Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And what he found in studying his life is a similarity between how the church reacted to the Nazi Party and Hitler in the 1930s and where we are at in our American culture now. And if you don't think that we are less than 10 years away right now from Christians being put in internment camps, you better fucking wake up, because it happened fast in Germany and it could happen fast here. So I'm telling you right now, read that book, take action. We got to take individual responsibility. We need to be actively involved in our civic organizations, our local church congregations. We need to become ungovernable. We need to say no. We need to vote differently, and we need to be active in this. Or we can all talk about the good old days in our bunks in the camps. And I said, you think I know that sounds wild, but it sounded wild to the Germans in 1932 as well.
Right. Ooh, hold on a second. We got this. I don't know what this guy's trying to say here. As a combat veteran, anyone who talks about firing on civilians usually can't do it and they're cowards. I've seen this firsthand. Those who talk can't. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I think maybe he's talking about like shooting people at the border or something like that. Like,
well,
maybe like people would not emotionally be able to do it.
yeah, I'm sure.
I guess. Yes. Yeah, so I don't know. Take a survey. Tell people to sign up for it. Make it voluntary. I don't know. It's never going to happen. So it doesn't matter what I say.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
why would we defend our country? Why would we defend our borders with force?
Who gives a shit about our country? I think it's interesting you bring up this whole Christian kind of like thing that you're like, as far as internment camps and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I'm a Christian nationalist. That's a whole other conversation.
But I was just reading a couple things the other day about how they're trying to push a different currency. They're like, I know that China and parts of Africa are trying to more or less disable the American dollar even more, devalue it even more by creating a constant that are traded among certain countries. And I was reading articles from different, like there's some, let's see, God, I had literally been about like 3 weeks. So I just got rid of these articles and I started looking up, and I was finding a bunch of different articles. They're not local articles. These are from different countries that are pulling in, being like, yeah, let's do this because this is ridiculous. Like America as a power is, I mean, we've already seen that dwindle, right? Like that's not something that we're making up. Our dollar isn't worth near what it used to be.
No,
so
it's plummeting.
As we lose power globally, there's going to be a lot of scrambling someday. And so, what you're saying, I don't know if it's 10 years. I don't know, but I certainly don't think that you're wrong. I think maybe it might take a little bit longer, but maybe not. I mean, it is what it is. So, but there's so much to factor in with that. Like you're not just saying that to say it. There's other things happening that could truly connect all of that. And they hide this stuff. They don't put it in. You can't just read it in normal news. I had to go to like the Kenya Times here, and then there was another Middle Eastern one that I was looking at online. Like I don't know if it was the Kenyan Times, but I think it was Kenya. The Kenyan president was actually talking about it. And there was some Arabian prince or some shit that was like talking
Arabian night, like Arabian days.
But like it's happening, So, but hey, let's just keep closing our eyes, man. Let's just keep fighting amongst ourselves, because damn it, I'm a conservative, and screw the left, man. Anything they want, I don't want. I don't care, and the same for the other side. They hate me. It's all bullshit. All of it.
I'm gonna Ferdinand Porsche in the chats. Thank you for being here, by the way, Mike. I too was once an ardent constitutional conservative. I have never claimed that title, so I'm not sure. You put that in quotes, a constitutional conservative. I
can see how you would be mistaken for one.
I've never claimed that title. That I know of. I'm advocating for. I said here's my quote. Wait, how come it didn't show mine? There it is. I'm advocating for constitutional republic based on Christian values. I literally said that, and you got out of that I said I'm a constitutional conservative, which means you're inserting your own assumptions and not listening to what I'm saying. That only worked when we were a majority white European, non-Semitic infiltrated country. We are still a majority white European country. If you don't think that we are not a majority white European derived country,
yeah, we are.
You're retarded.
We are
You said you're absolutely. You said
we are.
Your question about being retarded, your statement about being retarded, if you confuse socialism and communism or can't distinguish them, you are the retarded one if you think that we are not a majority white country that's derived from Europe. That's stupid to say because it's ignorant on its face. It's you could say 2 + 2 = 7 all day long. It doesn't. So I can't take you seriously. I'm not a right wing anything. I'm not a registered Republican. I'm a Christian nationalist.
Neither am I.
I just told you, Ferdinand, what I am. I'm a Christian nationalist. So don't call me something that I'm literally saying the opposite of. Anyway, I'm done with only like 60% nowadays. Right. And that's called a majority, dumbass.
Yeah,
I'm done with you.
That would
I'm done
technically be called. I can't believe he did.
He just admitted to being wrong, you dummy.
Oh my God. He just made
Don't come at me,
water a
Ferdinand.
bit.
You're no longer worthy of my time because you have like proven yourself wrong 3 times in a row.
Majority, but not for long. Yeah.
If you think we're a majority white, you're crazy. We are a majority white. Well, only like the majority though. You dummy.
You know what?
All right.
Thank you, Ferdinand. You gave me a good laugh today, man. And I am retarded. Ferdinand. So, and Mike is half retarded. So I'm on most days.
I don't have time on the show to educate you on why communism is just a form of socialism. I don't even have time to start.
Oh my God.
But you might start with a history book. Anyway.
That was amazing. That put a smile on my face. I'm happy.
It is. What a good thing. So do we go a little bit longer like she would want? Or are we cutting it short?
That's up. You know, we should probably just cut it short. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't feel like we need to get into another discussion, which we will always do. Because I have a ton of great articles. Because I was actually going to talk about the mass evacuation of Sudan by like our U.S. contingent. There's a lot going on in this world right now, and I think people have no idea. Man, it's burning out there, guys. It is burning hot out there, and we just want to focus on our own little viewpoint of the world.
I think you brought up a really good point of looking to other nations for news information.
Dude, you have to. It's the best.
We're being propagandized here. So how do you gain some perspective on what's going on in the world by looking at other sources in the world? I will tell you, this is bonus points, guys. A country to watch and admire right now. Poland. Okay?
Poland.
Watch Poland. Watch what they say. Watch what Poland is doing. Here's why. Poland has been through this. Poland has been through occupation. Poland has been communized before, and Poland didn't like it. Poland now does everything that they can to stop it.
They do. There is no doubt.
They have a much longer memory than we do, and they are effective.
Yep. God.
Make sure that you're paying attention elsewhere as well and learn. I'm telling you guys, that book rocked my world. Letter to the American Church by Eric Metaxas. I don't know what it costs. It's not sponsored. I don't know the guy. I'm just telling you that book is good. Jay, man, I feel sorry for you, quite honestly. When Title 42 ends, I went
border
to
states, man. Holy
a few
crap,
years ago. I went to Alamogordo, New Mexico, and spoke at an event. Which, by the way, I still hold this to be true, and I've been to a lot of places in the world. I found Alamogordo, New Mexico, to be one of the most beautiful places I have ever been. I absolutely loved it there. It was amazingly beautiful, diverse landscape scenery. I loved it, but I had to drive past El Paso on the way, and holy cow.
Holy hell.
Dude. And then I met with some cops that are in El Paso, work that border area. It's a nightmare on both sides of the border. It's a nightmare. So Jay, whatever your role is, he says he's infantry. Yeah, man. God bless you. And
that's right, brother.
Working along. Bravo 11. What is it? What?
I was 11 Bravo, Mike. I don't
11
even know
Bravo. That's it.
I don't even know if that's a classifier anymore. I don't even know.
What's your MOS?
Rid of it. It's too mad.
You can steal my valor anytime. I don't know, whatever. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, yeah, El Paso. I asked as we were passing, I landed in El Paso, got in the car, we started driving, and I was like, what's all the fire that's coming up? All the smoke. And they're like, oh, that's just like these makeshift villages that just burn tires for heat. Like, it's nasty.
What
it's
is it?
nasty over
Is
there.
it Sudan?
Juarez,
Good Lord.
right? Like wild nastiness. And it impacts obviously both sides of that
It's like
immediate
Black
border.
Hawk Down.
It is like a Black Hawk down there every
Good
day.
Lord.
So yeah, crazy. All right. Well, man, that turned out to be, I don't know, interesting. Maybe I found it interesting, but I'm biased because
But we're interesting people. Yeah.
This is we'll wrap this up.
There was
Seth,
a lot of discussion.
The Polish guys I know are all brilliant and based. They're all taught 5 languages in school and taught real history, so they never forget. Yeah, man. I have a friend of mine that owns a business. We were actually, he actually employed me for a little while back in like 2017, 2018. And he now has offices in Poland and in the United States. He says that life in Poland, so he splits his time there. So he lives half and half, right? And he says like when he goes to Poland, obviously there's like modern technology, but culturally it's like living in the 1950s. That's how it feels culturally. And then of course, yes, everybody that's under the age of 40 like speaks fluent English, right? So like English is a predominant language there for the younger generation. They're all taught it like from childhood. So Polish is very common. It's the main language there, but you know, you can go and function in Poland. It is currently on Mrs. Mike the Cop's and I's bucket list to take a trip. If we're going to go to Europe, there's a lot. I would like to think that I want to go to England, Ireland, Scotland, and kind of like do the little trifecta there, go to the UK, be cool. I've been to Spain before. I've heard nothing but bad things about Italy looking great and smelling really bad though. So I've heard
good things about Italy. I want to go to Italy just so I can laugh.
Josiah and his wife are going in September. They're going to Italy, so I'll get.
Are they? Yeah,
I'll get a little account on that. But I actually thought, man, you know, I would like to go to Poland. There's a ton of history there, tons of cool things to see, and the language isn't a super easy one, but try to get some basics down and head over there.
I mean, they don't speak freedom.
Paul W. And the women's are hot. That's right. That's why I'm going to have a orgy of Polish women while I'm over there too.
Yeah. I remember you were going to do that.
On the list, man. I've always said if I could do one thing before I die, it's an orgy in Poland. Women only. Guys, don't get excited.
Orgy. Like they're known for the orgies.
Yeah.
Like
Nothing like a Polish orgy with dessert pierogies at the end. Nothing like it. I can imagine anyway.
It's so dumb.
I have no idea. I love our show. I love hanging out. Thank you for hanging out with us, guys.
Yeah, there was a lot of great discussion on the sidebars, like a ton of great discussion. So good stuff.
Thank you for engaging in the chat. And if you only listen, guys, you're missing out. Go to the Mike the Cop YouTube channel. Off the Cuff Show is there. Normally, we're live on Wednesday nights. Next week, we have a guest. Tom DeBlas is going to come on. He is a grappling legend, I guess, is probably a decent word to use for him, but he's certainly a well-known in the grappling community. He wrote a book, How We Bear It, or How You Bear It, I think. I'll get the title right before next week. I have read the book, by the way. He talks about overcoming abuse as a child. And how that kind of shaped him and his life now and what he's doing with like anti-bullying stuff and all kinds of things. So it'll be a fun discussion, and that's the plan for next week. Yeah, man.
Good stuff.
Cool. Good stuff, guys. All right. We solved illegal immigration tonight, so you're welcome.
Yes, we did.